we can like identify the opportunities in the two sectors that you propose. That is the food service and the which was the other, Len? The food sector and the
tourism.
Yeah, tourism. Yeah,
it was tourism.
Yeah,
yeah, they're related. And
I'm putting together here roughly the. I made this kind of Venn diagram to show how it goes from conception. Obviously, all the things come from focusing your examples in these two sections. As a matter of fact, I just had a call. There is going to be one person from Spain to show how they turn hotels into hospitals.
Okay.
And residences. And what are the challenges and the things, so they can see an example that will help people to, figure out.
Yeah. So the idea for us is like gather information from all the process that we will go through with the priorities of Roger and Mariano, because Mariano is going to generate a questionnaire to gather information, and we will have some information related with those elements that are useful for us, and then we are going to present some examples, and then also we have some people, as you said, and with that we have enough information to identify the opportunities. So that's the idea to approach our presentation.
I'm putting here the last but not least. So I would say that about this point is going to be a transition between, I'm showing these examples to a group of people. This group of people say, okay, we are going to bring people to talk about food. And we organize a food meeting. But then after that, we start identifying projects that require consulting work. Then we move from free to pay. Pay the consultant, but mostly pay the company, because the company may not have the cash flow. There is a liquidity problem. But we are, and as we speak, we are looking to identify and invite the money man, the money people. So here we have, I will have a meeting with the likes of, sorry for my handwriting, the IDB, state level funds, and of course, federal funds. The idea is at this level, in this first stage, to have someone who can explain what are the criteria to be met in order to get support from X, Y, or Z. Okay? We already have some. We already have crowdfunding, we already have World Bank and IDB. But it is to have someone who can explain that in simple terms, to say, okay, these are the things, because in the levels that we go to projects, those projects will include a consultant will be paid as a function of the company also giving or receiving some kind of support, financial support to go through the transition into the next phase of the economy.
Okay. I would like, Len, I would like to know what do you think of this part?
Well, I see two components. One is the public sector, and by the public sector, it's basically what Mariano was um, just listing, and primarily it will be relevant on the kind of the tier 1 and tier 2, the top level, kind of aggregating the stakeholders who are putting the kind of the foundational elements in place, and that's fine, and that is exactly the kind of prep work that you guys have been doing, and it makes perfect sense to have that. Where I'm coming from and the things that we're concentrating on is actually approaching it. Think of it as a bridge from the other side of the river, from the public, not from the public sector, but from the private sector, and specifically with a strategic component and heavily on the tactics. And the strategic component is basically taking from a kind of the one-off initiatives that they're usually pushed by consultants or by project-based things into a systemic approach. So the idea from a strategy perspective is to go from event to process. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now the question is to what end and what are the means? Every company, every business has basically one goal, is to generate revenue, to grow. Fundamental. When you boil it down to that, it's going to be about growth. It's going to be about revenue. So, what are the means by which we can accomplish that? Well, it's on the sales and marketing, operational improvements and things of that nature. Those are going to be completely outside of the scope of this. That's where the specialized type of consultants and audits and things like that would come in. But when it comes to opening markets, marketing, doing a better job marketing the company, the product, the brand, and so on, and then establishing better channels for sales, those are the tactics. So again, it's a strategic component that basically takes it from an event to a process, and then the tactics of sales and marketing with real data, with real people, with real leads, with real stuff to actually make it happen. Those three components that you saw basically deals with that. It deals primarily with the tactics, how you actually engage, how do you make the data, make the information actionable, because that's the missing link. It's the action gap. It's not the information that we're lacking. We have the information. We know what this stuff. The industry has all the information that it will ever need. It's a how do we actually implement that? However, there are two components to that. Is the component that you mentioned at the beginning and Mariano mentioned, and that is the public sector and the social aspects and the greater vision. And those are important elements. I'm not discounting them. I'm just kind of showing you how the things that we're doing on this end are heavily on the private sector and heavily towards a set of tactics that are aligned with a strategic mission. And that's why the idea was that first we identify the companies that are going to be part of this in the vertical, in the industry that we're looking at, let's say in food service or in food retail or in hospitality and logistics and so on. So we look at all the verticals, and then based on that, we go directly and to those companies. We're not waiting for stage 3 or stage 4. We're not saying that we're in the business of aggregating information. We have the information. We know what that is. We know what they need because we've been in the business for 20 years. I mean, we know what they want. It's about growth. It's about sales. It's about revenue, period. Everything else is how do you do it? How do you support those efforts? And that becomes stuff. And again, I'm not dismissing, I'm not discounting the social aspects. I think they're critical, given that we're talking about cross-border issues. And I think that's the elephant in the room, and it has to be addressed, both from a political perspective and also from a social perspective. I think it is important to have the local governments buy-in, because there are going to be all kinds of issues, and like, how do we facilitate? How do we expedite this? How do we move? If you are participating into this initiative, how do you move kind of towards the front of the line, so to speak? That if you're part of this group, we will work with you to actually expedite some of the things that need to be done, whether it's from a logistics standpoint or from a legal perspective or whatever. Here's a list of resources and so on, because that will be a concrete example of something. Say, here are the 5 people that you need to know in Tucson if you have a distribution center, or if you need to open up a channel through that. Or here are the 5 people that you need to know in the Sonora region if those are the if you want to open up a manufacturing or you want to work with producers on that side of the fence. So again, those are the very practical things, but are going to add tremendous value instantly. So
let me interrupt you a minute.
The background
can I ask a question, Len? Len, can I ask you? Let me interrupt you 1 second. I completely agree. I just underlined, I think it's on the view of everybody now, you consider why we have people. All the things that you said, of course, and I will be really happy to see that, number one, that the Arizona side works, because I would like you to bring into these first meetings people from the American side who are in one of the lines, so we can work this out with them, and we can see also how this interacts, as you say, systemically in the region, not just as a local issue. But we have also to explain to them how to work with the people. The people factor will be critical in several ways. One way is strictly, if you want, the soft side that has to do with trust, knowledge. So we have to, at the first level, we are basically working as a Rolodex, meeting people and connecting people who are influential enough to get things going and get things done. But also, we are going to have to use a series of tools to enable people to do 3 critical things: coordinate and plan together in a virtual environment, in many cases, across different languages, be coached through this use of these tools fast, and number 3, to do processes of innovation, so repurpose, rethink, reorganize, that require some kind of training. That's why we have one example. Someone is going to be there from for what we describe as the second level to explain, and there will be like activities to show you how can you reorganize, retrain, repurpose, or get a plan fast, and also help them to fill out whatever kind of requirements are posed at the level of funding. Because you can have the private sector and people, I'm trying to get people to talk about crowdfunding and investors, but also in the Mexican side and in the American side. I've been in an Arizona meeting where Arizona has funding, state funding for small businesses. But those things have to be connected in order to say, okay, how can we work that out. And the idea of a human factor is critical in order to be able to work these topics.
Mariano,
Once you get the idea.
Mariano,
Yeah.
if I understand what Len is trying to focus right now is given that he taking into consideration the overview, the specifics of what we could generate in the conference in the third layer, not in the first or in the second, because
Perfect.
he says
Oh yeah,
yeah. So he's saying that for him, going to the specific companies is what is going to take us more faster to our goal. So the thing is,
That's exactly right. That's
yeah.
exactly
So
right. Gonzalo, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. The moment
now I understood.
Yeah,
I think back.
because he accepts the layer number one, accepts layer number two, but he says if we have enough information, we have a broad vision, and we have enough information, we require action. That's like his main concern. So with that, I think that could be our focus. Like once that we have enough information about what is going on and which are the examples that are working right now in this contingency, we can identify which companies in Mexico, which companies in the United States, or which companies in Sonora, or which companies in Arizona can link together in order to generate a new value chain. Given that everyone would like to have generate revenue and growth. So that should be our focus, and I agree with what he is saying.
I love it. I think it's a great idea.
Sorry,
I now got the full picture.
Yeah, thank you, Gonzalo. That's exactly right, because those are going to be the in our experience, that's what is going to generate the traction, and it's going to generate excitement, and because otherwise, if it takes too long to get to that, we're going to lose too many people, and critical people right at the beginning, and this is the moment to actually hit it right on. So what you just said to Gonzalo, it's exactly what I was trying to convey. So we're on the same page.
Yeah. So I totally agree. In the third part, if it's okay, what we can do, Mariano, is try to be very specific in the theme that we can develop. Len in the United States Arizona side, and me in the Mexico Sonora side, in order to move the message ahead in the sense of these are the challenges. We are going to invite specific companies. With those companies, we are going to design and develop, and we are going to put in operation right away.
I call Roger to be aware of what's going on, but we also hi.
Hello, Roger.
I introduce you, Len. You haven't met before, but we are working a little faster here, and we were a little slow in the. Let me.
Okay.
Here is what I understand. You are going to work a joint approach to. I'm drawing. Sorry, because it's the way I can.
You do it, Mariano. Then explain us, and then we accept or not.
Yes, exactly. Go ahead. And you can also do your additions. Okay, I can. Let me. Now you can also write down on that I basically said, okay, we identify value chains in the first meeting. Len and Gonzalo, however, go towards specific companies, specific value chains, and they need to work together, Sonora, Arizona, as a true
yeah, and one thing that he specified is that in the last meeting was Sonora, Arizona as a platform. So I think that is important. It's an important concept in the sense that we can complement resources as funding, technology, land, people, organization. So because we're trying to generate a new type of organization, a more functional and more competitive organization.
And it needs to be integrated. Yes,
That's
it needs to be integrated. The only way to integrate is if we have basically the same one platform, and the tools, whether it's the knowledge center or the navigator, those will take us on that road of actually having a platform for the data, for the interactions, for the information, for the content, for the people to actually interact. So those tools would are the means by which we can actually have a platform that is unified and uniform.
Yes,
because both are important, and it would be one area that has all the things, and then we can go through all the different layers of the data, the data that will be available at a zip code or at the county level, the location data, the infrastructure data, then the natural resources, the political boundaries, and all those elements that need to be done so that everybody's literally on the same page. Because right now there is one set of data on the US side, there's going to be a completely different set of data on the Mexico side. The two are not even connected, let alone unified or uniform. So if we're serious about this mega region, then I think this is a critical component. And this is where the public sector can play a critical role in moving that forward. Again, very actionable, very concrete. These are the tools, this is the data. We're bringing it together. There has to be participation and support from the local governments, from the state level, whatever. But those are the kinds of things that they would actually draw benefits, again, almost immediately. It's not they just talk. It's not just we're here to collect data. No, we know that when we already have most of it, but it needs to be organized, it needs to be unified, it needs to be harmonized across the border.
One thing that I will commit is to gather the organizations that would validate wherever data will be in the platform, in such a way that people in the business and the society can trust. That would be one thing that
Absolutely.
is important in order for people to know that information is useful and valid to take decisions.
I think that's key, Gonzalo. Is it useful, and do all people using the platform share a common destination?
Yeah,
and
I think, that's right. That's right.
And I think somehow people have different definitions of mega and societal value added, and tend to throw processes and means and activities into that hopper.
Yeah.
And to keep that clean, I guess, is by the data that you provide.
Yes.
Is there? How much agreement is there on common purpose?
Totally. In fact, Mariano, can you synthesize our discussion? Because Roger,
yes.
We are discussing our third layer. Mariano,
exactly.
already, Lenin and Mariano and I, we discussed the first and the second, and we are right now about what Len and I we will generate in order to present in the conference for people to validate and enrich. So if you, Mariano, can tell Roger what we already discussed, please.
Yeah.
I apologize.
No, it's okay, it's okay. The thing is that Mariano got into, he didn't want to interrupt his chart, but I was going to suggest for Mariano to give you a synthesis of what we discussed.
Yeah, I'm just putting this together, and this is, we basically are talking about correct me if I'm wrong. That doesn't mean that we necessarily have to wait for phase one, okay? But phase one will be identifying value chains companies that are priorities. So which are the ones that are critical?
Critical to what?
Critical to the shared vision.
Okay.
Damn it. Yeah, we have to have a shared vision. What is the critical? For example, now is keeping people alive, keeping people supported by self-sufficient, or at least able to feed themselves, to protect themselves, etc., etc. So
good.
This will be part of the shared vision we have to discuss. What are the key value chains for that? And then comes phase two, would be supposed that Len and Gonzalo already have that information. That's what Len is adding. For Arizona, for Sonora, but Len is adding, these two are not connected. So Arizona has its own information set, and Sonora has its own information set. And we are talking about private sector. So each one has a survival plan, let's put it that way, or a business plan. The idea is to bring that together and enter phase two, which is, okay, let's work on, for example, how are we going in this value chain to address the challenge in order to meet the shared vision?
In phase one,
Yes.
How much is that going to be synchronized with regional and state governments?
Well, let me show you another part that we were looking at before, and is here.
Okay, I can't see anything on mine. All I have is.
Oh, well, if you cannot see, I cannot help. But the idea basically is we are going to have people from government, from Arizona and Sonora, for example, Natalia from Sonora, who reports directly to the governor and is working in the mega region as well. And you met her, is a person who presented at the Kaufman Awards, and I did a simultaneous translation. And yeah, and there will be people who are at the state, federal, private, and public funding, like IDB, World Bank. The idea is to get people who can also explain the conditions to get funding for initiatives. That will be in the first level. So first, present mega. Second, identify priorities. Third, within these priorities, which are the key value chains. And then comes phase two. Phase two is, of course, the value chains.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, my pleasure. Let me go back to the whiteboard. Okay, and this is what I understood, Len, Gonzalo, that you are talking about create a platform with share information about Sonora, Arizona initiatives, resources, and that's the point where.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that that's exactly what we are looking for in our presentation. And the idea that Len is putting in the table is to once that we have the information, and once that we identify the opportunities, and once that we identify who are our partners, then we can move to the design of the solutions and go to those players in order to generate the plan. Because even though it could be very specific, but the two sectors where we are looking at are the critical sectors after the contingency. And that is the one sector is food, that food is going to be critical, and the other sector is tourism, because both really go to the specifically to the business and society.
You know, I'm thinking that this should be phase one, meaning you should have 90 minutes or a section where you precisely show how the value chains connect to the shared vision and make people from Arizona and Sonora see the value chains, see the importance of sharing information in a shared platform. What do you think?
I think that sounds right.
Len, what do you think?
Well, if you don't connect there, then everything else can string out and separate.
For me, it sounds good. I would like to listen to what Len says.
Yeah. Can you hear us, Len? I think that Len's microphone is off.
Yeah, I see it.
I don't know if she's
But
connected.
but
I'm taping this anyway.
Yeah. Well, let me go through his reasoning in order for
Yes, sure. To make sure that he's.
Yeah.
Are you going to call him?
I think for him, as I understood, is very important the participation of government as a facilitator. But the most important things are related with the connection of business with society. And that connection from business to society through technology and logistics. And with that, we had to have champions, because he's speaking two types of champions related to business, and the other champions related with the information. Because the basis of the model should be the information. You have good information. The information is for society and for business, and validated. And with that, we can generate a common platform, and with that we can connect business, and connecting business we will have the integrated platform, and with integrated platform we can connect internally and externally.
Perfect. Here is I'm just putting this in an image, so we have it. We have to bring people from Sonora and Arizona to share.
Hey, Mariano, I had to log in through the phone. For some reason, it's the Zoom is not working at all for me. So I'm on the phone right now.
Okay. Are you able to see the chart, the graphics?
No.
No?
Okay, I can tell Mariano.
I'm recording anyway.
Yeah. Mariano asked Glenn if our presentation, instead of being on the third session, he's proposing to be on the second session, because he is saying that if we put into the minds of people that if we share information and we can connect important companies, we can move really fast to solutions. And with that, people will have confidence, people, society, and business. So that's what he's putting in the table. What do you think?
From my perspective, Gonzalo, that's exactly the what I'm saying. That, to me, the conference is almost an explanation of the activities and the things that we're doing, and proof of that is actually in starting to make those connections immediately. And even from one, that's one side. And the second, in terms of the data, is actually to have a list of things that are currently available and how we are going to move about to unify it and to make it uniform. So again, less on the hypothetical and more on the concrete. Here are the action items. Here's and here are the specific goals for those companies who are engaged. So I totally agree. I think what Gonzalo is saying and what I'm saying is it's exactly the same thing. And I think if the focus is in specific actions, that will generate traction better than anything else, because the proof is going to be in the pudding. If we are able to move this forward, is through the gains that we're going to make up front. And I think there is goodwill, and I think that goodwill, it needs to be converted, needs to be transferred into an action. Otherwise, if the perception is we're just meeting, we're just going to have another meeting, and we're going to talk about it, the private sector is going to lose interest instantly. I mean, just instantly.
Perfect. I totally agree.
Oh, great. I completely agree. Len, you're using your cell phone, but you don't have WhatsApp, no? Do you have Zoom in your cell phone?
Well, the problem with Zoom is that, I mean, it gets so choppy that it's almost hard to follow. It becomes almost a distraction.
Okay.
There are other tools that we're using.
Well,
and I think would be better in terms of, because here's the thing. There are a couple things. Number one, in terms of actually screen sharing, there's a tool for just to kind of whiteboard and to screen share that's much better than Zoom. And in terms of just a voice, just a regular conference call with a dial-in number is, from my experience, better. So, I mean, those are the two things that we need: a whiteboard or a screen share, and a conference call.
Len, listen. I'm already organizing this. We are working with this. It's working fine. You are having a problem. I'm suggesting you this. You already have a perfect sound with that. But if you can access to see the whiteboard we have in Zoom while keeping your sound on whatever you have, we solve the problem, because Roger has Zoom and everybody is connected with Zoom right now. I know that there are better tools, but as we go,
No, I totally get it. The problem is, for instance, right now, I cannot see anything. I mean, if I do,
no,
that's the problem. No, I cannot see anything.
Because I'm connected with Zoom. I'm connected with Zoom with my cell phone, and I can see I can see the graphic, for example.
But
Okay.
Mariano, it doesn't matter if he doesn't see it, because he is understanding what is in the graph. So the important part is to have the agreement. And the other part is, once that we finish, he can have access to this, and he can study, and we can keep.
You're right.
Defining, because right now the more important part is to have a common goal, a common vision, and to be in the same frequency. So right now I feel that we are pretty close to that, and I would like to follow up to certain agreements of the meeting, if it's okay with you.
Perfect with me.
Okay, the first what I understand is that we can move our presentation instead of the third one to the second one. So you start Roger and Mariano, and then Len and and me, and then the application on the third one. So in such a way that we can give the idea of our concern to move right away to action. So that could be the second one. The third one is Len and me, and the parts that he will present and the part that I will present that is related with the idea of the shared platform. A shared platform in order to design together, and the other one is that we will go for the champions, champions for information, and champions for business, in order to generate the solutions in the shortest time possible.
Perfect. I will let you work out that. I have another meeting right now, but I will leave this meeting open and recording so I can come back. If you need me for some reason, just send me a WhatsApp and I will be back, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Mariano.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Len?
By the way,
yeah, Roy.
I can't see anything but myself on Zoom.
Okay.
And I have those kinds of problems with Zoom.
Are you connected through your phone or through your computer?
Computer.
That's strange. Let me
Don't-
see.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It's okay.
Technical
Yeah.
difficulties aside, I think it is important to
Go ahead. Perfect.
to have exactly right. To have a meeting of the minds in terms of the scope, and I think that is kind of like a 50,000-foot view. I think that's clear. How that is translated into action is probably the key difference, or it should be the key difference between what we're doing and anybody else, because I mean there's a lot of stuff out there, and that they talk about the Arizona Sonora. There's a lot of research done in different from different angles and different things. So there's no shortage of that. The question really is, how do we make it actionable? And if we can make it actionable in one vertical, then I think we can leverage that to much bigger and better things. So that's the thing.
Perfect. Len, can I ask you to write that down, please, as in order for you to make the agreements, you can share it with us in such a way that we can follow up on that.
Absolutely, and we can do a. I will send you a link to like a GoToMeeting, and then we can actually share a screen or do something else that basically has, because it has there's several things that I think are important along the lines of those three tools that that I shared with you, Gonzalo, both in terms of the market data that we have specifically in the food industry and the food retail, the kinds of things that we can probably bring to the table very quickly on the food service side because of the connections that we have, and then also the hospitality. Then in terms of the kind of the framework, the tools, the data that we have on the U.S. side for the share platform, again, that is something that I think we can look at this stuff. I mean, anytime really, and see how we can actually articulate this into such a way that that we can have people say yes or no immediately, not because again we know what this stuff is. I mean, it's not like we're looking for answers. We've been around the block enough times to know what the issues are. The question is, how do we make it actionable? Can we make it actionable, and if we can, how? specifically, and if we can address those concerns, I think we're going to be much further ahead of anybody else.
Perfect. Perfect. I totally agree. Roger, I don't know if you want to add any something.
No, I agree.
Okay, then perfect. So we will wait for the synthesis of the agreement, Len, and we follow up after that.
Good.
Sounds good. Sounds
Okay.
good. I will have I'll need a couple of days. I mean, I will have a follow-up meeting on a couple of meetings on this end, and I will reach out to you, Gonzalo, on Monday. Okay. And then we'll follow up from there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
Bye.
Bye.